Gee, Mark Scape had a real lunge at Russell Ingall into turn 9 that lap.
That could be quite a hairy dice. Scape, he's flicking those lights at him. Now watch this. Look at the Scape attitude and look what Ingall does in response now.
I'll tell you what, looks to me like Russell's got a bit of a case to answer there.
Actually, Russell hasn't said a word about it, and I don't know what to think about all of that. We don't want to see that sort of stuff happening. So.
Obviously voiced his opinion about Russell's driving standard, and you know the pass was made when you watched the footage, and suddenly the car's just turned around. So.
I mean, that sort of stuff is just dead set out of order. I mean, I've calmed down a little bit now, back to about 160 heart rate, but I mean, seriously, if that was any other sport, he'd be out for a year. That's the sort of stuff.
Yes, one of the more memorable moments from Sydney Motorsport Park. But everything's okay, right, Russell? Oh,
yes,
really?
Yes, it's good.
Why don't you explain it?
Every time that's come on, you start to glaze in the eyes and you start going red.
There's a reason for that.
There is.
Would you like to explain it?
Well, hey, what they didn't show, by the way, too...
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
What they didn't show, what about the serve up going into the hairpin?
Oh, you left a hole I could drive the transporter
After
in.
you've served me up.
That's a serve up in a straight line. You fired me straight in the fence.
You tried to run me off the track.
I did not try to run
You
you
hit
off
that
the track.
If you
fence
gave me a
pretty
bit
hard
more-
too.
What the background
If you
of
gave
this
me a bit
is,
more
is
real
it's
estate,
team- Oh, yeah.
I dropped off the track, you got a bit sideways.
I got a bit sideways, yeah, with hard right lock on it.
If you knew how to control a slide, you wouldn't have hit the wall.
No, that's a slide, is it? No, and then you decide. The interesting one for me is you fire me in the fence and then you think I'll run him over. Oh, cool.
I didn't run you over. I came over to give you a character assessment.
This has been much like a counselling session this weekend, getting the two of you back here.
Can we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. From the past to the future. Let's look ahead, of course. Recent announcements about Gen 2 and the concept coming up. Greg Rust explains it for us.
In 2013, the Car of the Future platform revolutionised the V8 Supercars Championship. It opened the garage door to new manufacturers and saw the addition of Nissan, Erebus and Volvo to the grid.
We waited so long for the car of the future. Well, the future is here.
The Gen 2 program is the next phase of growth for V8 Supercars and opens the same garage door a little wider by broadening the range of engine and body configurations that will be eligible to race in the category in 2017.
The easiest thing would be to do nothing, but you know the landscape has changed fundamentally. We brought in Car of the Future and it's been an enormous success. The product we have today is extraordinary. The racing closer than everyone's ever seen and probably the best touring car racing on the planet. But the world has changed and we have to look for relevance. There's no manufacturing here in Australia, and what it does is it rips that garage door off and it allows our teams and manufacturers and our fans to really be accessible in terms of what we're putting forward. We've got some unconditional, no compromises in the Gen 2 regulation, and that is that our cars will be fast, they'll be loud, and the racing will be as fierce as it is today.
Well, the Gen 2 regulations allow for an amount of flexibility. However, the fundamentals of our category remain. So the cars need to be adaptable to our current control chassis. They'll need to be a full 4-seat car as sold in Australia. They'll need to meet minimum production levels that we currently have. They'll be a rear-wheel drive in race configuration. It'll be a right-hand drive car. So effectively, what we'll see on the racetrack will be similar to what's sold on the road.
With the differences in performance that we experienced with Group A, or Australia experienced in Group A back in the day, I don't anticipate that happening with our Gen 2 cars whatsoever. The parity tools that we have developed over time, and that's been a process of evolution with our category, will ensure that the gap between pole position and the back of the grid is maintained at its already close level. And in all honesty, it is so close, it's so exciting, and I don't think we can actually better that.
V8s will always be part of our category. What Gen 2 allows is a manufacturer or a homologation team to present a different engine configuration. What we've done and will continue to do is that a new engine entering our category or a new engine configuration has to meet the power and performance levels of our current V8. This ensures that no one engine has an advantage or disadvantage over another, and that is the principle of our technical parity. The V8 supercar category is built on loud, fierce, hard-fought racing. With Gen 2, we're very aware that the noise that our cars make is one of the fan favourites. So within the Gen 2 guidelines, what we're doing is mandating a minimum noise limit so that we can keep that sound, keep the hard and the close racing.
I don't think the current feel will change too much, but the exciting thing is the opportunities that are there. I know if I was still running a team, I would be looking for new opportunities, new partners in the business, and I think that's the exciting part. It just adds to the value of the whole V8 supercar business.
At V8 Supercars, we pride ourselves on being one of the leading categories in the world, and quite frankly, the Gen 2 supercar regulations future-proof our sport.
Well, opinions are certainly divided over exactly what Gen 2 will mean for our sport. And one guy who's been there from day one, who's lived through all of the change that our sport has undergone, is racing legend Dick Johnson. Now, Russ, you sat down with Dick to see just what he thinks about the changes that are afoot in 2017. Let's take a look.
Major changes in 2017 with Gen 2 coming on board. Are we heading in the right direction?
I'm probably the only one up and down pit lane that's been there since day one and prior to day one. And I've seen a lot of changes over the years, and some have worked and some haven't. And for me, 2017, the jury's out, in my opinion.
You've been through the era of the turbocharged car, and then the normally aspirated V8 5-litre formula, which has been very successful all the way through to as we sit now. If we head down that road, are they going to be able to control it?
I'll be the first to say that, you know, change is always going to happen. It happens on a daily basis, and it's certainly in this game, and you need to be able to keep a handle on the change that's going on. But wholesale changes are always a bit of a lottery.
You've got control of anything, the board, the whole bit. What's the single biggest thing you would change?
From my point of view, the people sitting on the hill cannot tell the difference between the current car we're running and the ones that we ran back in 92, 93, except for the model. Maybe the way they're built's different, and certainly under the skin they're different. But with that comes a cost. And the most important thing to V8 supercars is the viability of all those teams out there. And unless we can keep the costs to a level that is sustainable, I think that we're really sort of sticking our neck out.
Like you said before, we've got a brace change, I suppose, but at the right point.
Absolutely.
And the two things you've identified as fans is absolutely number one, and the employment situation. I don't think people realise the amount of people that this industry employs. When you look at team and subsidiary companies that get the offshoot work, I mean, it's massive.
It's a huge business, and you know, these are the sort of things that we really do have to consider. You can liken it really to the manufacturers stopping manufacturing cars here in Australia. The number of industries that has sort of had an effect on, and industries that were very successful in the past, no longer exist. And they're the sort of things that you know, we really need to be mindful of.
Yeah, some really valid points there from the icon of our sport, Dick Johnson. Now, Russell has really got his finger on the pulse with this. He's also sat down with Red Bull Racing Australia team owner Roland Dane for his thoughts on Gen 2.
We've got some major changes coming up in 2017. Gen 2, the next generation of V8 supercars. Is it going to work?
I think you need to stand back and say to yourself, firstly, what's Gen 2 about? And it's more about opening the door for opportunities for existing manufacturers or possibly new makes of vehicle to come into the category whilst not having to use the V8 architecture if they don't want to. So there's no sudden magic moment in time like there was with the car of the future in 2013 where we all changed. You might roll into 2017 and find that actually nobody's changed that year, but they might change the following year, and then somebody else might change the year after that, or somebody else might come in.
Can we afford Gen 2? Or put it this way, can the lower end of the grid, can they afford Gen 2?
Now when you introduce something new, there can always be some capital cost involved to it. But if you've got a payback period that's fast enough, then it can be attractive. So one of the things that absolutely should be a part of the strategy is that, for instance, if you've got multiple teams running Holdens or Nissans or Fords, for instance, we should not have multiple engine manufacturers. We should have engines sourced from one place for all those cars, so that they can all plug and play into, we can take an engine that's maybe in the Walkinshaw truck and put it into our car, or vice versa. But also, if you're going and building, for argument's sake, 20 identical engines to a specification, you can come out with a cheaper product. The great thing about the time at the moment, it gives us as V8 Supercars a category time to really go to work on the parity model that we need to work with from a technical point of view, get our technical side of department of V8 Supercars up to speed in being able to run a really good parity model, because we're about technical parity, not about sporting parity.
Yeah, it's certainly thrown up lots of debate right around the V8 supercar paddock. So I'm interested to get your thoughts, Russ, starting with you after speaking to both Roland and Dick Johnson about it. What are you seeing the change that we're going to see in 2017? Are things really going to change that much?
Was very interesting between the two people themselves, because they're very strong identities in their own right, and Dick seeing both sides of the coin as well, the early area going through the turbocharged period, as we said, and right through till now. But Roland explained it really well as well, how it's all going to work. I can understand Dick's side of it because he's worried about the financial, team owner, you know, and obviously the costs involved in both sides. And then Roland explaining, well, you don't have to change. You can run the cars as they are now. It looks like, from what rumours are going around, that Holden will change to a V6 turbocharged engine, but as Roland hinted there, from one supplier. So potentially, I mean, obviously numbers cut down costs. So if that one supplier supplies 4 or 5 teams, well then obviously the costs for those teams are actually going to be lower. So the biggest thing that concerns me is the parity side. I mean, we see the struggle even when you look at someone like Nissan, for instance, and the struggle with the parity between just normally aspirated 5-litre V8 engines. Are they really going to have to hone in on the resources for making sure the turbocharged engines, you know, have got parity?
Yep. And it's a difficult one because it's all about the sustainability of the sport, the cost, the market relevance. Fortunately, we are the sport of the industry, so you have to have what's being marketed, what's being sold out there. They have to be on our grid. I see it as evolution, not revolution. To me, that's the big part of it. Yep. And whatever gets done, they need to do a really good job of it so that parity part, the racing quality, is fantastic.
Yeah. All right, it is time for a very quick break here on Fox Sports. It's time to go qualifying at Sydney Motorsport Park. It's coming up right here on Fox Sports next.
Until the break.